Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. This is Lexi JB. I am a licensed hairstylist and I also make wigs, and today is going to be a wig tutorial. Basically, one of my clients in London ordered a full 28-inch wig with HD lace. So we're going to take a look at that lace because that lace is definitely giving. This is definitely my new vendor. I love this lace. And she wanted a dark brown, level 5 brown, giving more so copper, like a copper brown. And she also wanted a braid pattern on the frontal. You guys are going to see it's pretty simple. It's just like 3 cornrows, one going straight back and the other 2 curved around. You're going to see exactly how it comes out. And you can also see it in the thumbnail. So first thing I'm going to do, I ended up getting the HD frontal and I also got the wig, but you guys know that when it comes to buying full wigs, especially from big companies, it would say 13 by 6, but that is not a 13 by 6 frontal. It wouldn't be a 13 by 6 frontal wig. It will be a 13 by 6 lace front wig. Yes. So a 13 by 6 frontal wig is what we're trying to turn it into, but a 13 by 6 lace front wig, that's what this wig was giving. So I'm basically going to be replacing the frontal part with this frontal because I actually prefer my wigs like this to have more space from ear to ear. So you could wear a full side part, a full L part, a full curved part. Like you don't have to just strictly stick with middle parts or a slight side part. And you have way more versatility when it comes to your frontals, because for this look, I would definitely need the full frontal space to cornrow in the right areas. So as you can see here, basically all I did is put the wig inside out on my wig head, and then I put the frontal exactly where the old frontal was. So I put it on top of where the frontal that's already attached, I just put the new frontal directly on top of it so I could be sewing in the same area. So the sides is basically what's going to be covering some of the tracks. The very top is just going to be covering lace. So you want to meet the back of the already attached frontal has to meet the back of the new frontal. So they have to line up perfectly. So that's exactly what I did here. And then on the sides, that's when the frontal would be overlapping the tracks. So that's okay if it's overlapping the tracks. That means that you pinned it down in the right location, because you definitely want to cut out those tracks where it's supposed to be lace. So as long as it's lined up correctly, it shouldn't fit too big, but we are still going to add an elastic band. And also when you are sewing the new frontal down, you want to make sure that you're taking very small spaces between each sew or each stitch. Yeah, let's say stitch. Make sure you take a very small space between each stitch. And when you're picking up the fabric and the lace with your needle, you want to make sure that you're only picking up the fabric and the lace and you're not picking up hair with it. That could be a little bit difficult because both of the fabrics you're sewing together has hair attached to it. And when you're sewing, you want to make sure that you start in the middle of the frontal and then work your way down to each ear. So the first time it will start in the middle, go down to the right ear. Second time, start back in the middle and go down to the left ear. You want to do this so it won't overlap or the frontal won't get dragged a little bit more on the next side. So it's fully sewn, and you can see how the frontal was sewn on, how there is tracks that we're going to be cutting out on either side, and it should come out as like a little triangle because that's how they do wigs nowadays. When they do say 13 by 6, most of the times they mean 13 by 6 lace front wig, not a 13 by 6 frontal wig, because a frontal wig is a wig that's made with a frontal, but a lace front wig is a wig that has lace in the front. It could be confusing, but majority of companies do sell their wigs like this, unfortunately, but that's why you have people like me, because I know how to replace it efficiently and also so it could last just as long. Stitch it the correct way and put it in the right place. It will last just as long as the old piece that was already attached. So as you can see here, this is how it looks after you cut off everything. It should look very, very clean. It should look like you bought the wig just like that. Like, you don't want to have anything uneven. And as you can see, how it was cut out was perfect. It was completely perfect how it was cut out. It should be the exact same shape as the frontal that you added. And you want to make sure you brush the hair out thoroughly, because even though we are avoiding cutting hair and cutting hair entirely, we're avoiding that, but it's bound to happen because it's going to be very difficult, but you want to avoid it as much as possible. So you definitely want to comb out the hair entirely so you could get rid of any type of shed hair. And moving on to the color, so we are going to be doing a dark brown Auburn color. Like I said earlier, it's going to be about a level 5, and I'm going to lift the hair because I'm using a door, so I do need the hair to be lifted to at least a level 6. And to lift the hair, I'm using B2 lightener, I think it's B2W, and I'm also using Blonde Me Developer. I say this every time that I use Blonde Me with another lightener. I know you're not supposed to mix it with another lightener, but I just don't have Blonde Me lighteners, so I'm finishing up this stash before I go out and buy a whole new set of lightener and developers. So as you can see here, I didn't really measure anything. I just put a little bit more developer than I do powder. And I use 30 and 20. So I use mostly 30, a little bit of 20, like a dab of 20. That would make like a 25 to 30 volume. I will be having the wig sit under heat, and it's going to be sitting for a little while, maybe like over an hour to an hour and a half. I separated the frontal from the bundles because these are 2 different vendors, so I'm not sure how each of them are going to lighten, and they ended up lightening completely different. You're going to see like how it ended up lifting. It's so interesting, but the frontal actually ended up lifting perfectly. It's the bundles that I had an issue with. It didn't lighten as light as the frontal did, but it's okay because the gold color that we were going for was a level 5 anyway. So when I ended up putting all the color in the end, it matched perfectly. So we were all set at the end of the day. So as you can see here, now I'm putting the color on, I think that's the frontal piece. Yeah, that's the frontal piece. And I'm just like slapping it on there. I'm not even really going with a specific technique. I'm just slapping the color. It probably took me about 20 minutes, maybe not, I would say 10 minutes to put the lightener on the entire wig, because I literally just slapped it on there. Like, it was no sectioning, nothing. Do I recommend doing that? No, but I do this all the time. So I felt comfortable doing it this way, and it still came out bomb. So you guys could just enjoy this little application and rinse sesh. This is when I ended up rinsing the hair. You can see here how it ended up coming out 2 completely different tones. Like, the darker part is the wig on the back and the lighter part is the frontal. So you could tell that the frontal had better quality hair than the back. As you can see, the front is lighter, the back had like streaks of hair that did not lighten. Yes, it's very interesting how it came out, honestly, but I definitely won't be using that vendor for the bundles in the back anymore. Granted, the hair felt amazing. It just did not lighten correctly for the bundles in the back. Not, you can see here too. It's similar, but it's just slightly different. Like, the hair in the back is a little bit less orange. It kind of gives like somewhat of green hues, which I really didn't like. So as you can see, those are the 3 colors that I used. I think it was French cognac, mocha, and cinnamon. I ended up using half cinnamon, half French cognac, and then for the mocha, I put not even a drop. I only put a little bit because I don't want this to be too bright, and I definitely don't want it to be a bright orange. We are still going for the more brownish look, and if you guys are gonna see the shades of brown in the very last video when I show the final product, because in this lighting it does look more orange ginger copper, but in real life it's like more on the brownish with like a warm brown type of thing. So as you can see here, I ended up mixing silicone mix, some leftover Shea Moisture conditioner that I had. I'm mixing the conditioner with it because one, I only have two bottles and a dot of the mocha to work with, so adding the conditioner will help spread the product so I can end up having enough for the whole wig. And I ended up having some product left over, and it will also make sure that the wig doesn't dye too dark, because when I did apply this color, I ended up leaving it on for, how long did I leave it on? I think I left it on for like 8-9 hours. I definitely did not follow the manufacturer's instructions. I mean, when it comes to Adore or any type of like semi-permanent color, I don't leave it on for only like an hour. I leave it on like sometimes overnight. So it is what it is. Like, especially if I have it with conditioner, I'm conditioning the hair as well. So it's like two birds, one stone type of thing. And the color ends up being super vibrant when you leave it for that long. So I definitely recommend, especially if you're doing like jet black or any type of like potent colors, definitely leave it on for a little bit longer than you're supposed to. So that's done, and I'm just gonna be rinsing it out here. I'm not shampooing after this step because I already shampooed it enough, and it's been sitting in conditioner, so it's all good. You really don't have to shampoo it, but you definitely want to rinse with very cold water until the water runs clear. And because you let it sit for so long, that's another thing, you're not going to have that much hair dye in your sink. It's a pretty cool trick, honestly. But when you mix it with conditioner and you let it sit for a very long time, as you can see, I barely had any dye in my sink, and I just hate when there's like dye everywhere. So, and it ended up coloring perfectly. Oh my god, it's so good. I wish you guys could see it in person, but again, you're gonna see it at the end of the video. So over here, so here is where I am reattaching those clips that I removed earlier. So earlier I did forget to mention, when you do pin down your new frontal on top of the old one, it's going to cover some clips. So you want to make sure you remove those clips before you remove the old frontal piece. And then at the end right here, or whenever you feel so necessary, you can reattach those combs, but you won't reattach them on the frontal. Obviously, you're going to reattach them a little bit lower on the wig part. And yeah, that's basically what I'm doing here. I'm just sewing it back as so, and then it should be some hair on the edge, so you want to make sure you use your rat tail comb to get rid of any hair that got caught into the thread, so it could be like extremely neat. And these little elastics, I ended up just putting it over, sticking it back through, so you could still apply the comb in your braid, and you could also still utilize that elastic to adjust your wig custom fit to your head. So you can see where these 3 combs are now in comparison to before. The 2 on the side were a little bit higher. And just for extra security and extra adjustment, I will be adding an elastic band. And this is how I measure it. I just put the wig inside out on the wig head, and then I end up stretching it out taut, not too tight, because you don't want this wig to give your client a headache. But you definitely want it to be taut. So when they do put it on, this is not a custom sized wig, so I don't have her measurements. So that's why I'm also adding this extra elastic. But you want to make sure that you pull it enough so it could fit snug, just not too tight. So as you can see over here, I'm about to start my blow dry process, and I use my Tresemme spray as a heat protectant, because I'm also going to be flat ironing this hair. And to flat iron it, I end up using BioSilk. And yeah, I feel like everything else from here on out is basically self-explanatory. I think you guys could just watch the video to see how I parted it off, how I braided it, and how I did the styling. So I want to thank you guys for watching if you made it this far, and definitely enjoy the rest of this video. And don't forget to give me a like and a thumbs up, a comment, and a subscribe. That's literally what motivates me to keep posting these videos, so it will be greatly appreciated. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.